The New England Patriots were defeated by the Miami Dolphins 20-7 on Sunday. And the offense did not perform well. And there are a lot of Patriots fans out there who are really concerned for what this offense is going to do this season. Now, many people are really skeptical of Bill Belichick's decision to make Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator. Now, Matt Patricia, believe it or not, does have a background on the offensive side of the football. During his collegiate career, he was a offensive lineman. I believe he played center and guard. So it's not like this dude never played and has no experience on the offensive side of the football at all. And then on top of that, with him having so much knowledge on the defensive side of the football, Bill Belichick is probably thinking, hey, so I mean, you're calling plays and you also have a high IQ for the defensive side as well. So you should understand what defenses are trying to do and the best ways to attack them. So I can kind of understand the thinking there if that was one of the reasons why he decided to make Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator. But when you look at the play calling, I honestly don't think it was that bad. And many of you guys are probably going to disagree with me. But if we're being fair, the play calling I felt was pretty solid. I think with the Patriots, there were a lot of opportunities that they missed when it came to not being able to hit on some of the big plays in the passing game. Okay, you had Mac Jones and some of these wide receivers just couldn't get the timing right on some of the throws downfield. Some other additional throws Mac Jones was not able to hit. So I just feel with this offense, I don't really think it's a play calling thing. I honestly just think they're a little bit out of sync right now, and it's going to take them a couple of weeks to adjust and get the chemistry and timing right. And that was to be expected when you heard the news that Josh McDaniels was going to be leaving to become the head coach of the Raiders, because this is somebody who has been the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots for years. So, of course, it was going to take a little bit of a filling out process to get adjusted to whoever the new offensive coordinator was. But I do still have a lot of faith in Bill Belichick's judgment and his decision making as a head coach. I trust his decision to make Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator, and also Joe Judge is also probably in on things as well. But if you are a Patriots fan, I don't really think you need to freak out right now. It is still just week one. You got to relax. You got to vibe. You got to let everything play out. So we're going to revisit this week 8, week 9. Let's come back to this week 9, because I feel around week 9, that's where we're going to have a pretty good idea on how good this offense is. Is it good? Is it bad? Or is it average? And then we'll have a good idea of, how good of a play caller Matt Patricia is. But you look at Mac Jones' performance against the Dolphins. The Dolphins do have a really good defense. He had a okay performance. He was 21-30. He threw for 213 passing yards. He had a touchdown and an interception. The interception, I don't really know how I feel about it, because it wasn't a bad throw necessarily, in my opinion. I really just feel it was good coverage. He was trying to hit Devontae Parker along the right sideline in the end zone for the touchdown, but Xavier Howard made a really good play in coverage. He tipped the ball, and second-year safety out of Oregon, Javon Holland, picked it off. But outside of that, I felt like Mac Jones had an okay game. There definitely were a couple of throws that he missed on that he definitely would love to have back, that definitely would have dramatically affected the outcome of this game. He got sacked 2 times. I don't think the offensive line played bad. I think they had a okay performance. He got sacked twice, but I think one of those sacks was mainly just on him. But the run game, it was kind of weird because the way the game started, the run game was really dominant. But then in the second half, it just wasn't all that effective. And I don't know if it was because, maybe they just needed to try to run the football more, or if they just kind of tilted away from the run game. But Damian Harris was really on in this game, and he only got 9 carries. And you have Ramondre Stevenson, who also had 8 carries on the day for 25 rushing yards, and he also was a little bit of a factor in the passing game as well. But I think that Damian Harris definitely needs to get more carries. And I think what kind of has limited Damian Harris snaps is because he probably isn't the best passing option to have on the field in obvious passing situations. Definitely Ramondre Stevenson and also Montgomery probably are better options in those situations. But it's not like Damian Harris is just awful in passing situations. It's not like he has no hands at all, because he did have a reception or two in this past week's game against Miami. So I think that if you're Bill Belichick and you're Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, I definitely feel like Damian Harris, you can't keep taking him off the field. You definitely have to keep him on the field more. He needs more opportunities with the ball in his hands. But overall, I just look at how New England's offense performed. Definitely it was disappointing from a statistical standpoint. You definitely wanted more from Mac Jones. But if you go back and you watch the game, there really just was a lot of missed throws downfield, and it really was just a timing and chemistry issue, I think. So for New England, I think within the next couple of weeks, we should have a good idea of how good this offense actually is and what it's going to do this season under Matt Patricia at the helm at offensive coordinator. But I just think it's a little bit too early to tell, because from what I saw, there was just, some drops on the behalf of the wide receivers. Mac Jones just wasn't able to get the ball right there in the bucket in certain instances. So it really, to me right now, just looks like it's a chemistry issue. The play calling didn't really look bad to me. Every head coach who calls plays, or any offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, is going to have some plays that aren't going to be the greatest in certain situations. But depending on how great of a team you have, they're going to be able to take a bad play call and turn it into a good play call, and a good play call into a very good play. But every good play caller ends up missing on a couple of plays. Nobody calls a completely perfect game, but I do think that the play calling for New England definitely is getting a little bit too much heat. Because at the end of the day, I just think that Miami's defense was just better than the personnel that New England had out there when it came to their talent at corner. And on top of that, the depth that they just had on the defensive line at the end of the day. So I think for New England, they got to find who their go-to guy is at wide receiver. And they still didn't really have that last season, and we're still really trying to find the answer this season. But I'm honestly not worried yet about New England's offense. But as I said earlier, we're going to revisit this a couple of weeks, probably week 8, week 9 into the season.